The Vegas Golden Knights. One of the most interesting stories in all of sports over the last few years, especially their inaugural year, at the time of this recording at least, have not won the Stanley Cup yet. But let's be real, up 3-1, they are looking dangerous. And as I spoke about in my St. Louis Blues video, they're winning for the exact same reasons. They are the most versatile team in the league with a lineup full of two-way players. Just about every player in their lineup offensively can play an elite level of defense as well as offense with a tenacity to grind and scrap for the puck. This level of versatility allows them to match any play style they come across. And with just as versatile of a defensive core in Martinez, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Theodore, Hague, and Whitecloud, defensively they can match any offense. And as we've seen in this round alone, players like Theodore can contribute fantastically offensively. So like I said, from front to back, these guys are a versatile nightmare. There's no style that can beat them that they cannot match and outplay you in. Play your game? Okay, cool. We'll beat you at your own game. And it starts from the front and back. Jack Eichel and Mark Stone are some of the best defensive forwards in the entire league, with their first line being Martinez and Pietrangelo, who are fantastic defensive defensemen who can contribute offensively. They hold true to this identity so strictly that even guys like Phil Kessel can't make it into the lineup. Coach Chippy's not going to be happy to hear about that one. Granted, he is an older player and nowhere near what he used to be, but when it comes to simply scoring the puck, there are still not many people who can fire the pill like Phil. But his lack of willingness to play defense and scrap for the puck is enough to take a generational talent out of the lineup. And this identity fits perfectly for where they're supposed to be picking. With almost certainty, they're going to be getting the 32nd overall pick in this year's draft. And with a draft this deep, they're still going to be getting a great prospect at that pick. But more than likely, the best players available are going to be these two-way guys with seemingly lower offensive upside. But that's perfect for them. They don't need a game-breaking goal scorer or playmaker. Granted, having Dorofeyev, Howden, Barbashev, Bluger, Kessel, and Hill all be free agents this year, and with Marchessault, Stevenson, Amadio, Carrier, Martinez, and Hutton all free agents next year, with only $3.46 million in cap to play with, obviously some of these names are going to have to go. But with as relatively cheap as ELCs are, and the quality and NHL readiness of a lot of the players projected to be picked late, they could pick a player who could jump into the lineup in as soon as a year. A player who can play on the third line in their first year, so that they can work and play to the Knights' identity, while also contributing a high level of offense. And as players start to filter out due to contracts, they can work their way up the lineup. So here is a nasty steal I think they can get. Daniil Buti, hefty, 6'5", 203-pound Russian, playing for Yaroslavl in the KHL. With 15 goals, 11 assists for 26 points in 26 games, his stats were deceivingly unappealing. But if you watch the film and understand that he is playing in a pro-level league, so obviously kids are going to be pushed down the lineup, his upside is crazy. Has elite level offense. No joke, my player comparison for this kid is Tage Thompson. He's a high upside offensive weapon, and much to the pleasure of the Vegas Golden Knights, he does show a willingness to grind and participate in physical battles. And although he does definitely need to use his frame more, he was already playing against grown men, so as he gets better skating and more muscle, if he keeps that same willingness to compete like that, he's going to be a monster. He has game-breaking offensive skill, but as a kid who went through a late growth spurt, he is still finding and figuring out how to operate his own body. So as he comes into his own, I think he'll have a Tage Thompson timeline. It's going to take a while for him to reach his full potential, but his ceiling is ungodly. His long reach and frame with his willingness to compete in all three zones is going to be dangerous. And with being a versatile player who can play wing as well as center, he can adjust to the tempo, skill, physicality, and himself. He can ease his way into the 2C spot as either Carlson or Stevenson leaves, or if not, solidify himself in the top 6 as a winger. I do believe he will need a year to develop at least some sort of muscle and understand himself, and then I think he'll be able to float middle 6. If they really needed him to and wanted to take advantage of the ELC. He's one of my favorite players in this draft, and I am so excited to see which team picks him and makes him a star. But as always, we do explore other options. I do think that Grayson Sawchin, 5'11", 165-pound center from the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL, would be a great identity pick and would fit in much the way Stevenson did. He's a fantastic two-way player with great offensive mind. Even being on Seattle's third line, he scored 18 goals and 40 assists for 58 points in 58 games. Great upside and fantastic 3C potential. And as teams start to get more powerful overall and the cap salary starts to raise, having a third line center of this caliber and skill set will be invaluable. But if they're looking to take a safe two-way pick with good offensive upside, 5'11", 183-pound winger, playing for Drummondville in the QMJHL. A safe pick who plays a solid two-way game with speed and grit. With 30 goals, 39 assists for 69 points in 66 games, he can be a solid middle 6 producer, has a nasty bag of tricks and highlight reel hands, but almost always will elect to make the safe and most effective play. Spends most of his time, even for a smaller guy, around the net, looking for soft areas to score and being the first one in the corners. All three are great players that can help them. And with as good of a lineup as they already have, none of these guys can hurt them. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment the next team.